Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. We've got a bit of a bumper video coming up today because I'm going to be away for a few days from tomorrow through to Monday, so this will be the last video update but I do until Tuesday. So a lot to get through in this video. We're going to have a look at the weather today, weather over the weekend, weather next week, and at the very end we'll have a look at the charts for the next month from the Japanese model. It's JMA Thursday today, not JMA Friday, because I won't be here to do JMA Friday tomorrow. Before I get on with all that, just to make sure you advertising this video ads on my pages at GazWeathers.com, and you play on the video ad, you'll be supporting GazWeathers.com. Thanks very much for doing that. So let's start off with the situation in the east of the country. Today I've got some quite heavy rain here, stretched out from the southeast of Yorkshire, going through Lincolnshire and down in towards the London area. A line of quite persistent rain, very narrow, but it is quite heavy in that rain, and that's going to continue in pretty much the same place throughout the rest of the day. So this is a high resolution Euro 4 model from website Weather Online, precipitation forecast from Euro 4, and here we are at midday with the rain still in pretty much the same position. As we go through into 6 o'clock in the evening, very little movement. Actually it backs a little bit further towards the east this evening, so it may affect more eastern parts of the country, say East Anglia, but still really stretched out from Lincolnshire down towards the London area. Some deep blue colours in there as well, indicating some very heavy spells of rain in place, and it's still going on across the east as we go through into midnight. So many hours of quite heavy and persistent rain here. These bright colours down here, these purples, indicate risk of thunderstorms perhaps embedded within the rain. So I think there's definitely a risk in the far east of the country today and this evening overnight of some really quite extensive, at least flash flooding. And I don't think it'll be too bad in terms of the rivers bursting their banks. I think certainly the roads are going to be awash, and there could be some flash flooding in places. Still some showers around at 6 o'clock in the morning, but as we go through to tomorrow, things do ease off then. The rain will ease away, but still a few showers down in the south, but the worst of it will be over by tomorrow. But a really wet old day coming up in the east. It's cold there as well with a northerly wind. Temperatures are really struggling to get it much above the mid-teens. Now, as we go through to Saturday, we're going to be in quite a warm air mass and a humid air mass as well. We've got low pressure taking over across the country as a shallow trough. This is the pressure chart for Saturday, indicating that low pressure is beginning to develop. That could risk of some thunderstorms. The upper air temperatures are going to be pretty warm on Saturday. We're going to be 10 Celsius isotherm there across many parts of the country, so pretty warm in terms of the upper air temperatures. The dew points, don't often show you these in summer, but the dew points really reflecting the humidity, the moisture in the atmosphere, and they're very high as we go through into Saturday afternoon. Some quite high dew points there, just indicating it's going to be very humid, very sticky day on Saturday. So with the warm upper air temperatures and the dew points and low pressure developing over the country, something is bound to blow up, and the convective potential shows that, yeah, I've got the green and yellow colours there, particularly across the eastern parts of England, indicating the risk of thunderstorms. So with temperatures up to 25, possibly 26 degrees into the upper 70s Fahrenheit, there will be a risk of storms on Saturday afternoon. And there we are, really from Scotland down through central and eastern parts of England and through parts of Ireland as well. The risk of some heavy thundery showers and no doubt some thunderstorms in place. Now, we're going to be away, as I say, over the weekend, so I won't be able to update about this. So do keep an eye on some of the other weather websites, say weatheroutlook.com and the UK Met Office, if you're at all concerned about the chance of thunder, or you just want to keep abreast of the situation, really, because I think there'll be some interesting weather around on Saturday afternoon. As we run through the next week or so, we're going to find a chance of some more thunderstorms next week. We're going to see a bit of a plume coming up from the south. I think these are the 850 HPA ensembles from the GFS model. I've shown you so many times, I went a bit blank there about what was actually looking at. Can you believe that? But anyway, these are the upper air temperature ensembles from the GFS model. We've got the temperatures here in the middle of the chart, and the precipitation spikes are down on the bottom of the chart. The red line is the 30-year temperature average, so we're around the average at the moment. We're going to go a little bit above average over the weekend, but nothing too dramatic until we get to around the 15th. So from around Tuesday, we're going to start to see the temperatures pushing up, and it does actually turn very warm later on next week if this is right. We're seeing temperatures not getting into blowtorch territory, but certainly getting up towards the hot category, I think. We're getting up to around 13 or 14 Celsius in terms of the upper air temperatures, which could be seeing the temperatures lifting up to around 29, possibly at the outside 30 degrees, if you get enough sunshine. Of course, it all is dependent on sunshine. So, yeah, it could get quite warm, if not hot, later on next week, although the temperatures do start to dip back again, as we go through into next weekend. We start to see the temperatures dropping back towards the average. But for a few days, it does get very, very warm there, if not hot. That's the first time I've been able to use the hot word at this time of year. It's a little way off, though, so don't be running away with the idea that this is a done deal. It's about a week away, so it may not come off, but certainly the suggestion is there that we're going to see a bit of a plume next week. Notice the precipitation spikes associated with that plume. That's telling us that there is a risk of thunderstorms breaking out as those temperatures push up. The temperature anomaly for the coming week, the 10th to the 18th of July, we've gone into the red colours. I showed you these on Tuesday, I think it was. We was in the blue colours. I said, leave it a day or two, we're bound to go back into the reds, and there we are for the coming week, 10th to the 18th. It does look as though we're going to have above average temperatures there across many parts of the country. Just want to throw this one in. This is the temperature anomaly for the United States. It's pretty cool over there for the time of year. This is for the anomaly for the coming week, the 10th to the 18th of July. And yeah, we're below average, and this is for Fahrenheit rather than Celsius. For the chart for us, it's for Celsius, but for the United States, it's for Fahrenheit. And many central and east areas are going to be below average. The warmth is in the west on the Pacific coastal side of America. But I think the United States is having a pretty poorish summer, or certainly the breadbasket, the central eastern part of the states, having quite a coolish summer so far this year. And of course, it's a very cold year. We had a very severely cold winter as well. So let's have a look at some generic charts for next week, and this is the GFS for Tuesday. We've got high pressure building into the south, low pressure up to north. Looks like it's going to be a very warm, dry and sunny start to next week down in the south. We'll lose the showers over the weekend. It's going to be very nice indeed. There will be some showers or perhaps some long spells of rain up to the north, though. Temperatures will be lifting up to around 25, 26. As we go through to midweek next week, the high pressure is still there in the south, keeping it nice and settled, although it's more unsettled up to the north. And then that high pressure sort of breaks apart, and some of it slips away into Central Europe, and this allows low pressure to perhaps start coming up from the south. That's a thundery low coming out of Spain and Portugal. Of course, we've got the heat low over Spain and Portugal, as we usually do. There is the heat low, which is always in situ over Spain and Portugal in the summer. Doesn't do anything because the air is very dry. But as soon as the pressure pattern allows it, it starts to slip up over the Bay of Biscay. Once it gets to the Bay of Biscay, it begins to pick up moisture. So what's going on there? The heat low is coming out of Spain and Portugal, drifting up over the Bay of Biscay, picking up moisture, and that's when the storms start to break out as it pushes further north into France. So very warm air will be associated with that area of low pressure. So by Thursday, the thundery low from the Bay of Biscay is there across some parts of the country. I think it's a classic plume, a classic summer Spanish plume type scenario with that low pressure pushing up from the south. Will be some storm associated with that if it comes off. As we go through to Friday, the low pressure then has ended up off the coast of East Anglia in the North Sea. Cooler, fresher air will be starting to push in off the Atlantic from the back of that low pressure. Here's the precipitation forecast for Thursday, midnight Thursday. We've got some violent thunderstorms through the Bay of Biscay. I say the low pressure is picking up moisture over the bay and setting off those storms, moving up in towards the Brest Peninsula. And then as we go through to midday on Thursday, the storms push further north with some very intense colours there, indicating risk of violent thunderstorms with torrential rain. There's the convective potential for Thursday. We have got high rates of convective potential across the country. Temperatures are a bit modest actually, up to 21 or 22 is the suggestion. That's because we've got all that heavy rain falling. It'll be very humid though, and look how hot it is across most of France. That heat could well get into southern and southeastern parts of the country in particular. Much of northern France is up to 27 to 31 being 88 Fahrenheit. It wouldn't take much to tap into that in the south and the southeast. There's no sign of it on this particular chart, but we're very close to a hot plume at the end of next week. The ECMWF is backing all of this up. Here we go. The Tuesday, the ridge of high pressure is there across southern parts of the country on Tuesday from the Azores. As we go through to Wednesday, that high pressure builds nicely over the country. It'll be warming up very nicely, temperatures getting up into the upper Celsius. And then as we go through to Thursday, there we go, here comes the heat low pushing up out of Spain and Portugal, picking up the moisture over Bay of Biscay, moving northwards into the south of England, producing thunderstorms and potentially hot temperatures. As we go through to Friday, the low pressure again is off the coast of southeast England, the North Sea, and cooler, fresher areas beginning to dig in from the Atlantic as below clears away. There's the upper air temperature showing some very hot air is coming northwards with that heat low. So both the GFS and the East Earth are in agreement that we've got the chance, a good chance perhaps, of the plume developing next week. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. I'll be updating about it next week when I return from my break, I'm sure, on Tuesday, as long as it still is being shown by the charts, of course. If you want to see whether this continues, I'm sure other weather websites like the Weather Outlook will be updating about the charts of the plume later next week over the coming weekend. Finally, we've covered a lot of ground, but finally we've still got JMA Thursday to go, so we're going to have a look at the charts for the coming month from the Japanese model. These are 500 midnight height anomalies broken down into weekly periods, and of course the first thing you need to know is that the British Isles is upside down on this chart just there. So what we're looking at for the first week period, taking us from the 10th to the 17th, is a trough of low pressure out to west and northwest, a ridge of high pressure up to the northeast of the country, and that's a pretty good reflection of what's going on. Actually, we've got warm southerly sort of flows coming in across the country, so it's going to be a pretty warm week coming up, and if that plume comes off at the end of next week, there will be a risk of thunderstorms pushing up from the south. As we go through into the second weekly period, which takes us from the 17th, let's see if I've got this right. I don't think that's quite right. How long is this going to be taking us to? It'll be taking us from the 17th to the 24th of July, and what we're going to see then is that we're going to get this trough of low pressure pushing in from the west more. So actually that week, the 17th to the 24th, turns more unsettled again and possibly cooler, with winds going back into more of an Atlantic flow. I'll just get rid of that and show it again. The winds are possibly going into more of an Atlantic flow there, so temperatures could be dipping down after that warm week coming up next week. It could turn cooler and fresher. And then we're going to have a look at the third and the fourth week, so I've got to see what this will be taking us to as well. This will be taking us from the 24th of July through to the 7th of August. And what we're going to see in that week is that we get the trough of low pressure up to the north of the country in the 500 millibar flow, so it's still relatively unsettled up to the north, but things are normalising. We're probably bringing in an Atlantic flow there across the country. Could have some sort of upper ridge developing from the southwest as well, but I think everything is quite westerly based there with that particular flow. So as we go through to the end of July and the start of August, if anything, I think we're probably going to be seeing the weather settling down, but we'll still be in Atlantic flow, so it won't necessarily be all that hot. But I think probably a more settled spell perhaps coming up for the start of August, but it's all very speculative, of course, with these longer range models. Well, that's it. That's going to be my last video until Tuesday. Some very interesting weather coming up, of course. Short term, there's a risk of storms on Saturday. Then we're going to be watching out for that plume next week, and in the longer term, looks so we're going to see more mixed conditions really through the coming monthly period. I don't think it's ever going to truly settle down for a prolonged period, but it's going to be pretty decent. Actually, the weatherout.com is terming this summer the Goldilocks summer today. It's a very apt sort of term, I think, for this summer so far, because it's a good summer. It's neither hot, it's neither too hot, and it's not too cold. It's not a washout, but there's rain coming through periodically. So yeah, it's a pretty good summer. I think many of us are enjoying this one. That's all for now then. Thanks for watching. I'll be back on Tuesday with the next video update. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.